Hello, and welcome to Rosberry Crafts, my YouTube channel where I share all my crafty adventures. Today is May 5th, 2023, and this is episode 59. My name is Roz, and I live in Lake Country, British Columbia, Canada, with my husband and my two kids who are 13 and 11. Today for you, I have what am I wearing, finished objects, works in progress, stash, and some chatter. Let's get started, shall we? What am I wearing? Today I am wearing my Broadway shawl. This is a worsted weight shawl designed by Shannon Cook and it's called Broadway. I keep on typing Broadway, but it is Broadway. I'll put it up on the screen and it will be linked down below in case you want to view it yourself. And I will also put in a picture at some point along here while I'm talking about it of the wingspan of it because it is huge and but it is lovely and very woolly. This is made out of some McAusland wool from their woolen mill in PEI. So in 2017, I want to say 2018, I can't remember exactly when, many years ago, my in-laws went on a cross-Canada trip and they went to PEI. They went to this woolen mill, which has been around since 1870, and they bought me a variety of wool. And I sat specifically a little bit over today so you can see my fireplace and my stuff because this here is also that wool, and I have a purple somewhere too. Anyway, in this cubby, it is a worsted weight, Aran weight wool, and it is a woolly wool, which I don't mind, but some people do. If you're planning on doing something next to skin, you might want to consider whether that bothers you or not. It's a little bit of a rustic wool, but I think these three colors go great together. I have no idea what the colors are, but you have an olive, a cream, and a dark brown. And yeah, the Broadway shawl is just lovely. I do not wear this one often enough. Actually, when I put it on, I immediately felt warmer, and I'm thinking that maybe I should drape this one on the back of my chair because it's beautiful to look at. And then it can just be a little something warm to snuggle into because it's so big. I can just kind of drape it over me while I'm working at my computer. I don't know, we'll see. But today it is chilly compared to what it has been earlier this week. So I thought I would just throw on a shawl over my t-shirt and this did the trick. Yeah, so that is it. I've talked about the pattern, talked about the yarn. Also, I'm planning on visiting there when we go on our cross-Canada trip because we have, I think, 5 days in PEI, so I'm so excited. So of course, I will take you guys along with me because that is super interesting content for you guys, and we'll see what I end up purchasing. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But let's move on before I start rambling. Let's move on to finished objects. My one and only finished object this week is a pair of socks. There are two, see? Two socks. So this is some stash that I had. I'm not really sure even what brand it is. It didn't have a ball band, but I'm calling them my crazy orange socks. So I did a vanilla reversed heel on there, and I did my usual 3x1 pattern along the foot and then 3x1 all the way up the leg until the cuff and a 1x1. They are still a little bit damp. I just washed them this morning, but they are pretty much perfectly matching socks. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I worked out really hard on these this week, and I feel like I'm on a finishing roll, and that means that I have a bunch of new things. So yeah, the vanilla reversed pattern is by Annie Fletcher, and like I said, I'm kind of doing my own thing for the toe and just using that for the heel, but if you want to look that up, I will have it linked below along with everything else that I talk about today. So finished pair of socks. Yay! Let's move on to works in progress. First up for works in progress, I have a tale of woe. So I have been working on the Forgotten Path hat for a while. This is a pattern called Forgotten Path Hat by Barbara Naleko, and the pattern is lovely. And with a different yarn, it would have been amazing. But the yarn that I was using was too thin. It's 100% alpaca. It was making my hands itchy, so I know that wearing the hat would make my head itchy. And usually I don't have a problem with wool, but alpaca sometimes, yeah, it's 100% alpaca as well. So it would be super warm, but it was very lacy, and you could just really see through the stitches, and I just knew that I was not going to wear the hat. And when I'm putting that much work into a hat, I want to wear it myself. I don't want to give it away because it's a like fully cabled pattern. So I decided to rip it out. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yarn. I'm trying to kind of use up some of my old stash. So I thought of some ideas. I think I might make like a lacy wrap that's specifically very like open and lacy. So we'll see. But I have frogged that, and this is yarn from a local alpaca farm here in Lake Country. So that is very cool yarn, but unfortunately it just didn't work with that pattern. But I will be on the lookout for some sock yarn that's a bit plumper that will work well for that pattern. So we'll see if that pattern is still in my future. Time will tell. Right now, I'm very excited about my next work in progress. So I talked about it in Next on Your Needles, and I have cast on the tiniest little bit. Okay. It's not much, guys. It's really not much. Is it going to focus? I don't know. So I've cast on the cuff. I am going to do these socks one at a time. Normally I do my socks two at a time, but I feel like with the cable pattern in here, I just want to make sure that I do it to pay attention to what I'm doing and don't just knit away. So this yarn is Fireweed Fiber Co. And this is from last year's monthly sock club. And this is November's, and it's called Crystalline Entity. So that is a Star Trek reference. This is the yarn. Oh, and it is so nice to work with. So this is her 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. Yeah, it's lovely. And then there's the mini that goes along with it. This is a 20-gram mini, I think. I don't know. I'm sure it says on here somewhere. Yeah, 20 grams. Read it. Read the label, then you'll know. So yeah, so there's that. I think it goes perfectly. There are pops of this color in there, as well as the blue and kind of a more lavender color. Yeah, it's just amazing. Just amazing. I am so happy for this pattern. Did I even talk about the pattern? So these are my Tits Up socks by Nancy Wheeler. I don't know. I'm just so excited that I finally cast it on, because I think I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. So there you go. I've cast it on. I've started them. Yeah, who knows? They're a little bit of like a sit down and pay attention project until I get it a bit more underway, and then maybe it'll be a on the go project, but yeah, that's right. So I've talked about the pattern, talked about the yarn, and how excited I am. So, okay. Let's move on to my other work in progress. So when I'm in a bit of a lull on what to knit, what do? Cast on a hat. What hat? The Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. So this is a Caron cake, leftovers from a Caron cake that I got a lot of years ago. So it is an acrylic yarn. This is the grape jelly colorway, and you can just see I've started with a bit of the gray there, and yeah, so that is as far as I've gotten on this. It's just a little under halfway, I think. And that was it for the grape jelly. So now I've got the rest of this, which will be way too much. But yeah, so it's going to be a neat combo that you can either have a purple hat or a yellow and gray hat. So it's going to be super fun. This is also a Caron cake. So this is the big cake. It is an Aran weight yarn, and yeah, it's knitting up quickly. It's I don't need to look at it knitting either for the treadmill or in front of the TV or a meeting or whatever. So just knitting around, and I will have plenty of yarn. I'll probably end up using whatever's left in that yellow and orange one for another muscle burrow, because I already have the needles out and everything's ready to go. So it's easy. It's easy. So that is that. Not very exciting, but there you go. So that is it for works in progress. You know, I do this every week and I still stumble over my words. That is it for works in progress. Let's move on to stash. All right, so for stash this week, I have a couple things. First up, we're going to open our May club for Fireweed Fiber Co. I was just talking about her yarn. So I get the monthly sock club, and this year's theme is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'll put in the inspiration picture. So if you don't want to see May, because she doesn't actually send, if you ordered one at a time, I order 3 months at a time. It's like a whole thing. Save on shipping. But if you don't want to see May because you still have it coming in the mail, then skip forward to the stash 2 part of this chapter, and that'll be like my stash figure update if you're interested in that. Otherwise, you can just skip to the chatter or see you next time. Okay, we're going to open May. You've been warned. Ooh. So, this is called You're Not Special, You're Extraordinary. I love that dark purple. I mean, the dark red is good too, but that dark purple. Oh. It's like almost black. Oh, it's so good. So good. And there's so many speckles on here. Woo. All right, so this is her Sweet Pea sock, which is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So there's 100-gram skein in the middle here and 2 20-gram minis. This year I've gone for the 2 minis instead of the 1 mini, and I'm super happy with that choice. So there is my May yarn. I just can't stop looking at it. Like, I know I say this every time, but I have no idea how she actually does this. She is a magician. Amazing. Okay, so the second part of my stash update is my stash numbers so far this year. And I am using my journal from my Advent from Tracy. So that's super fun. Confessions of a Yarn Junkie. Yeah, and I have all of my, excuse me, April stuff in here. So for April, I just had the 1 yarn from my sock club, which is 511 meters. So that's all the yarn that came in. And then yarn out, I have my bag of sorting, 2 cable headbands, my D20 hat, 2 easy erasers, a chunky muscle burra, the rainbow bag of sorting, and Taylor's blanket. So that totals $17.45. So that is pretty awesome. So my total in for the year is 5,506 meters, and my total out for the year is 6,737. So that's a difference of 1231, more out than in. Now I am going to caveat this with that I have ripped out a couple projects that I didn't talk about with you guys, and I have put them back in my stash on Ravelry, but I didn't put them into my yarn in these figures because I didn't actually purchase them, but they are back in my stash. I'm hoping to use them up and get them out the door quickly again. So my total year-end numbers that I keep on my spreadsheet are going to be slightly different than this. But really what I want to keep track of is the yarn that I'm purchasing and using up more yarn than what I'm purchasing. Hope that makes sense and isn't too confusing. Let's move on to our last segment, chatter. For chatter this week, I really don't have much to talk to you about. My children are back from Disneyland and they had a wonderful time and have been regaling us all week with all the wonderful, hilarious, and tragic stories from their trip. So it's been really fun just to, hear all the adventures that they went on and all the fun things they got to do. And they did bring me back a little souvenir. They brought one for my husband too, but they brought me back a Harry Potter mug, and it is the Hufflepuff mug. I'll put a picture in here, and yes, I have been using it every day now. It is my regular mug now. It's perfect. It's lovely. Yeah, it was really sweet of them to think to bring something back, and that was super awesome of them. What is going on with my hair? I don't know. Stop messing with your hair. We have been playing a bit of D&D, which is fun. We're about to fight an ice dragon, so see how that goes. And then I think we're on to a new campaign, so that will also be fun. And we caught up on The Mandalorian because we were back quite a bit because the kids were away, and yeah, we were just catching up. So we're all caught up on the latest season of The Mandalorian. So that's kind of what we've been doing. As far as books, I haven't finished anything this week. Yeah, this is what happens when I'm listening to a book, I'm reading a physical book, and I'm reading one on my Kobo. I'm just not finishing anything, but I was able to renew the book on my Kobo. It's a very long one, so I'm hoping to finish that this week. Maybe I'll even finish Kith and Kin this weekend. I'm like 75% of the way through, so. And yeah, so anything else is just the weather has been crazy. I mean, we all know that spring is rain and sun and rain and sun and rain and sun, but it was a high of 29 degrees yesterday, and that was very hot. It's very muggy. There's a bunch of flooding. Alberta's on fire. There's been 2 fires here as well, and yeah, it's just crazy weather. We are totally fine. We are not affected by it, and other than it's kind of hot out, so it's fine. And today is freezing, clearly, because I'm in a full wool shawl. My office is in the basement, so there is that piece of it too. But I think that is everything for this week. Before I get too rambly, I'm going to sign off and see you guys next time. Bye!